Welcome back to the Scoop College Basketball Podcast. We are back for another conference preview, and today we are previewing the WCC, which is, I think, one of our favorite conferences. Definitely one of my favorite conferences to watch. Can the same be said for you, Kyle?
It's definitely climbing this year, especially with other conferences that I loved in years past probably not being as good. I think the WCC is going to climb a little bit. I definitely enjoyed diving into this conference. So
Yes, the WCC is one of the most overhated conferences because a lot of people acted up as if Gonzaga is playing no one all year, which, although it's not a power conference, it's still consistently a top 10 conference, which obviously that's held up by Gonzaga, but even if they were not in it, it's still very respectable.
the last couple years it's really improved. I think the last 2 years especially.
Hmm.
The middle, the bottom, well, I won't say the bottom half, but the middle half has gotten better. So
Yes, that is true. Consistent like NIT teams, fringe tournament teams are kind of been in that
mhm.
area. But yeah, a quick rundown of league last season. It was ranked the ninth strongest league on Ken Palm. Gonzaga and St. Mary's tied for the regular season championship. Then Gonzaga won the WCC Conference Tournament Championship. Gonzaga and St. Mary's were the two teams to make the tournament. Gonzaga made to the Elite Eight. They lost to eventual national champion UConn. St. Mary's also lost to eventual national champion UConn in the round of 32. Um, and BYU, they're no longer in the conference. It's been fun, but now they're in the Big 12. So only nine teams
Definitely
in
an
conference this
adjustment.
year.
I'll even admit I accidentally included some BYU in here first because it's just so hard to not picture them. It's so hard to picture them in the Big 12, like
Yeah, it's
a Mormon school like that,
conference
in the East
realignment.
Conference. Right. I mean, there's no boundaries anymore.
Yeah. So you look down to all conference lists from last year, there's hardly any players back. Drew Timme,
Yeah.
co-player of the year, started his pro career. Brandon Pajemski, another co-player of the year, also started his pro career. Logan Johnson exhausts his eligibility. Aiden Mahaney is back at St. Mary's. Tyrell Roberts exhausts his eligibility. Mitchell Saxon back at St. Mary's. Khalil Shabazz exhausts his eligibility. Cam Shelton exhausts his eligibility. Carlos Stewart transferred to LSU, and Julian Strother started his pro career. That's the first team because the WCC is one of those conferences that does the 10-player first team, which still doesn't make sense. And we will not be doing that in our
No, no,
predictions.
no.
We do it the right way. Second team, Marcellus Erlington exhausts his eligibility. Keyshawn Justice exhausts his eligibility. Maxwell Lewis started his pro career. Fousseyni Traore still at BYU, but he is no longer in the WCC. And Moses Wood transferred to Washington. So out of those 15 players, only two of them are coming back. And both from St. Mary's, Mahaney and Saxon. So there is a lot of top players in the conference leaving, a lot of change up top. But I think it's still going to be a fairly strong conference towards the top, which we will talk about. No new coaches this offseason. Every coach in WCC retained their job for now. But yeah, now we're going to move into our personal individual selections. And this is a good episode because Kyle came into this already prepared. We're
Of
not going to be
course.
throwing out any random walk-ons for the freshman team or anything like
No,
that.
yeah, the
It's
freshmen in this conference are fun.
mhm.
You do some research about them and you can see some of these guys can really play. Especially with the
Yes.
West Coast Conference, there's a lot of good West Coast talent. So,
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of
and
that
they've gotten their
talent.
hands on some.
Yeah, a lot of those players from like California, like
Right.
out in there, like Nevada, Washington, Oregon, like a lot of those
A lot of good
players,
players.
a lot of good players like that go to WGC instead of going across the country to play in like the other power conferences. But
Exactly.
yeah, first of all, we will go into our regular all conference teams, and I'm going to start. I have winning player of the year. I have Aiden Mahaney of St. Mary's.
I can agree with that. Yep.
Is that your pick as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it is. So I will continue down my first team. I have Ryan Nemhard, Gonzaga point guard on my first team. Do you have him on your first team?
Yep.
Two for two so far. I don't know if you'll have this guy in your first team. I have Tyler Robertson from Portland.
I went back and forth with him. I really did, but I made the decision to put Adama Ball on my first team.
Okay.
Bold, but I've watched some highlights of him, man, and he could have been a rotational guy at Arizona. And he just has so much ability, and Santa Clara is really looking for that like first scorer. That role was completely empty, and I think he's just gonna really shift right into that. And I think Santa Clara will be a top 4 to 5 team again. So could be enough to get him on the first team.
Absolutely. So did you have Robertson on your second team then?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking about Ball, I had him on my second team. Someone's gonna need to take a step up for Santa Clara, and like the past
Mhm.
few years, they've had crazy like NBA draft players. Not saying Ball is that guy, but if there is a guy, it's gonna be him.
For
So
sure.
yeah, I really like what he can bring in a team that is good, that has talent, but they don't have a go-to guy. A lot of variability with stuff. So I'll move forward on my first team. I have Anton Watson.
I have
Did
Alex Dukas. I think he's a really important glue guy for them, but he's also a really good scorer. Like he's very efficient. And I have St. Mary's winning the conference, so I think I kind of gave me the edge to put him on there.
Yes, I had Dukas on my second team. Really like him. I just think he's like their third option. Maybe
Mhm.
Watson is too, but I think Watson is kind of underrated because he was
He
sneaky,
is.
like really good last year. He's solid all around forward. In the last member, my first team, I have Mitchell Saxon.
I have him on my third team actually.
Uh,
So
oh,
yeah, no, I just think, obviously St. Mary's going to win the conference, but there's a lot of good power forwards and centers in this conference that might be scoring a bit more than him.
yeah, that's fair.
I
I
have,
disagree, but at least you're prepared. So
yeah, no, I have a lot of, I think with Javon Porter is going to get a lot of big numbers
yeah.
this year. I think obviously, I think Kelly is a much bigger scorer than I thought. At LMU. I didn't think he scored all that much. And I'm looking at his numbers and he dropped like
Mm.
31 game. So no, they're definitely going to be relying on him at LMU as well.
Yeah. So was he your final member of the first team?
So I had Graham Ike. I have Graham Ike on my first team.
Yeah, I had him on my second team. A lot of it's injuries. Like I'm still not sure if he's even
Yeah,
cleared yet.
that's true. I haven't
And
heard anything. Um,
so I think if he plays how he did at Wyoming when he was healthy, he is a first team member, but just not really sure exactly how that's going to play out. But I really like him.
mhm.
Um, so on my second team, we've already talked about Dukas, Ball, EK. Do you have Lil Pepe on your second team then?
Yeah,
Yes, I had him as well. Very, very skilled, big, finesse,
he is.
big.
He's undersized too, but like he's
He's
so
more of a
skilled.
forward though, I think. I
Yeah,
think he's gonna play the forward this
he's
year.
got amazing motor. I think that's really what
Hmm.
makes him great is he's, just really aggressive on the glass and he's a pain to guard against.
Yeah, expand his range last year too, if I
Sure.
remember. The final member of my first team is Houston Millette.
Wow, okay. That's
I
bold. I know
think,
you've been high on him. I don't have him on any of my teams, I'm gonna be honest with you.
yeah,
Um,
I think with Max Lewis gone, I think he's a guy that
true.
could
We're gonna see
make.
how efficient he can be, Like that's been a thing for him in the past is efficiency. I think him and Javon are gonna get a ton of looks. Like they're gonna be
Mhm.
scoring the ball a lot. So
So did you have any players on your second team that we have not mentioned?
so I have Steel Venters, my two. Shooting guard. I do think with Gonzaga, my big thing is like there's going to be a lot of guard scoring. Like they need scoring punch, and Venters can score the basketball. He's a really good shooter. He can get you off the dribble as well. He's got good size. I think he's going to be a good 12 to 14 points per game guy. And Gonzaga's a top 2 team in the conference, so I think it's enough to put him there. I also have Mongolian Mike on my second team. I think for San Fran, with Shabazz gone, again, it's a lot scoring punch gone. And I think Mongolian Mike's just going to be filling the stat sheet with assists, rebounds, points. He's going to be doing everything. So
Yes.
I'm expecting a big year from him. And I have Javon Porter on my second team as well. So
Okay. Yeah, I have What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. I do not have Venters on my all conference teams. I kind of wanted to put him there because if you just look at the 15 best players in this conference, I think he's one of them. But also, he's probably the fifth option in offense for Gonzaga. I think he'll be more of a role player. I could definitely see him making an all conference team, and I really strongly considered him being here. But I just not sure if he's going to get the opportunity and role. Like, he's
Yeah,
better than some of the
I
guys that I
mean,
have.
I just kind
But
of worry about their shot creation on the perimeter. Like they're gonna have to go to him a bit. Like
yeah, I
Nemhard
mean, I
can
think he's
create
still
his
going to be
own.
good.
Oh, of course, I
He's
know.
going to be the fifth starter, in my opinion.
All right,
So,
all right.
um, yeah. So my third team, I have Mongolian Mike. I have Javon Porter. We talked about him. Really good freshman season. Um, yeah. Let's see. How many players do you have on your third team that we
So
haven't
my
mentioned
point
yet?
guard, I have Dominic Harris. I think Dominic Harris is in a great spot here, right? You look at him next to Juice Hill, who's kind of, we can kind of debate if he's like really any good, but I think he'll be better at LMU than he was at LSU. I mean, it's hard to
Yeah.
beat
I mean, he was good
that.
at Murray State.
Right, he was. So, but I think, Dominic Harris is really going to be like their dynamic guy. Like they're going to be looking for a guy to replace Cam Shelton, and I think he's in limited touches that we saw from him last year, he didn't play a lot because they were behind, Strother and all them. He's shown some ability, and I feel like he's going to be their leading scorer. I feel like he's going to be their lead shot creator. And LMU, I actually am looking over the roster again. I just moved them up a spot. I kind of like them more. That I did some in-depth research on a couple of their guys that didn't really jump out of the page at me at first. So I'm putting him on third team.
Yes, I do like that pick. Next to Mongolian Mike in the backcourt, I have his teammate Marcus Williams.
Yep,
I'm not a huge Marcus Williams guy personally,
I'm
but
not
like the
either.
opportunity is going to be there. I think he's still a high level WCC player. He just was very questionable at Texas A&M,
Yeah, you
but
kind of looked 2 years ago, where he averaged 15 a game. It kind of jumped out to me.
yeah,
And
Wyoming.
when he had a bigger role. I feel like
Hmm.
maybe we don't get 15 a game from him, but we could get 12, 13. I think
Yeah,
it's enough to put him on third team. I have him as well. So
yeah. I mean, they lose two major high scoring guards in the backcourt,
Robbins.
so the opportunity is going to be there, and I think those guys can kind of both share that opportunity. Another player I have is Seiko Sissoko Jawara for San Diego.
Okay.
I debated whether or not to put him on because I don't like San Diego, but he's
Yeah.
also probably their best player, probably going to score a lot of points. Had multiple all conference selections in the Big Sky with Weber State. So I decided to put him on here instead of Venters. So I think Venters is a significantly better player, but Jawara might average like 15
Yeah, I could see that.
plus.
I was wondering if he was back or not, and
I
it's
think he
good
is.
that they have him back, because they're gonna need him. Him and Wayne McKinney are gonna be doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So between those two, I have Nolan Hickman here.
Same.
I think he's gonna have, I didn't love him last year. I don't think a lot of people did, but I think he's gonna have a bigger role this year, and he's gonna, have a real opportunity to kind of grow into his own. So, I put him here, and I've Christoph Tilly as my power forward, someone I like a lot. He's a great finisher around the rim. He got a lot more run as the season went on last year. As guys like Parker Brown and things like that. He was the first guy off the bench in for him. Tilly has some mid-range skills. He has skills with either hand. He's very efficient and he's a good defender. He's got good size too. So there's a lot I like with him. I think he's going to be their starting big. I think he's in for a big role this year. So I have him, and then I have Mitchell Saxon.
I just found out that Jawara is not even back. So that I don't
Yeah,
know
I
why
was
I
about
had
to
him on my
say,
roster. I think he had eligibility, but he just okay.
where
So
did he
that changes
go?
some things. Oh, I just looked at his Instagram and he had some like international team in his bio. So we will have to reevaluate. He did not come back for his extra eligibility. So
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
think Dominic Harris is a great replacement.
maybe. I was thinking about having his backcourt mate Juice Hill there. Hmm. I think I'm gonna go with
Prefer
Juice Hill.
Dominic, but yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, I really strongly debated putting Hill there in the first place.
Yeah, I did too.
If he goes back to his Murray State form, like he was still a good passer at LSU. Think that can, yeah, I think he'll just, he's not like a super athletic player, which kind of caters to WCC more than SEC, and why he was pretty good in OVC. So yeah, I don't know why I had him back. I thought I heard it. Whatever. Are we ready to go into our top 10 transfers in the
Yeah,
conference?
not bad.
Number one, I have Ryan Nemhard. I mean, obviously, I had him in my first team. Did
I have
you
Graham
have?
Ike as number one.
Okay. I'm assuming you have Nemhard too, then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I have EK too. Number three, I have Mongolian Mike.
I have Adama Ball. Yeah. So I just think, Adama Ball is going to be, I mean, maybe obviously now you probably could grade Mongolian Mike over him, but I think
It was close.
by season's end, I'm going to have Adama Ball over him just because, he's going to have a lot more offensive output, I feel like.
Where did you have Mongolian
Right
Mike?
behind him. Right
At
behind him.
four.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have Ball at four. So kind of consistent, even though we're not lining up exactly. We're in the ballpark here. At number five, I have Steel Ventures.
So number five, yeah, Steel Ventures as well.
Yes. I mean, we already talked about him. Number six, I have Jonathan Mogbo.
I was swapping him in and out. I like Jonathan Mogbo a lot.
He's ultra efficient. He can
He's
really
very
play
underrated. His
defense.
efficiency jumped out at me.
When he's in the game, Missouri State played so much better.
They
Like on and
were.
off splits were unreal
Um,
for him.
yeah, no, I probably should put him on here over Jalen Benjamin. Yeah, I have Benjamin definitely too high. I'll put Mogbo at 7. I'll put Malik Thomas at 6. I kind of like his upside. And I think again, San Francisco's gonna have a lot of scoring to fill,
Yeah.
so he's gonna be
Well,
one of those
yeah.
guys.
Well, seven, I have Dominic Harris.
Yeah, okay. I'll have Harris and Thomas. Yeah, I had Harris actually at 5, so I had him
Okay.
high.
Okay. Let's see. Number eight, I have Juice.
Number 8, I think he's very underrated. I have Will Johnston. I think his efficiency splits are ridiculous. Even at a UT Rio Grande Valley, who plays extremely fast or top 3 in pace every year. He averaged 14 and a half points per game and a respectable whack. He shot 43% from 3, 45% from the field. He brings some really needed shooting, I think, to LMU. I think he's going to keep up that efficiency and be a really good player for them. So I have him at 8.
Yeah, that's fair. He can shoot, he can create, he can pass, but at the same time, I had him coming off the bench for LMU, so I don't think that opportunity is necessarily going to be there as much to put him on the list. But he's definitely a player that I like as a particularly underrated transfer in the conference. And number nine, I have Lars Demon.
So I have Thiemann
I
at 10. And I
I
have Juice Hill at 9. I'm just not
okay.
like all the way sold on Juice Hill. Like I don't think he could shoot
Yeah,
very
that
well.
LSU year is still kind of hanging in my mind, but I just try to remember what he did at Murray State.
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel like at Murray State he also like definitely catered from KJ and Tevin a lot. Like, he definitely benefited from those two
Yeah.
guys. He's now like the number 1 or number 2 guy. Like this is definitely
Well, they have a lot of solid guys.
yeah, okay. Yeah, they have Kelly too, but I think more is gonna be asked of him this year compared to at Murray. So
Maybe. Yeah. But at number, yeah, I had team at nine. He was pretty
underrated
effective
as
at Cal.
well.
I think yeah, he's a huge body. Gonna be a solid inside player for Loyola Marymount. And number 10, I had Jalen Benjamin.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have Benjamin at 6, but yeah, I'm not huge on Benjamin because he's 5'11", but he can score the ball, no doubt.
Yes.
I don't know how he'll translate, but again, with
I mean, he was like a good scorer at UAB.
he was.
So
Yeah, no,
like,
he's been a good scorer for a while. He's been
yeah,
pretty proven, so I think he'll be solid.
yeah, and also just like situation with ball, there's a lot of opportunity in Santa Clara
Yeah.
for scoring. Breakout players.
So,
Um,
let's
you can feed us one first.
all right. Where is my? There we go. So I have, yeah, again, kind of debating. He's going to be battling Will Johnston for minutes at LMU. I have Noah Tights. He's a redshirt transfer from Stanford. He has some ability. I think he's a pretty good shooter, from what I've seen. And you can never have enough good shooting around some good players. So, guys like him, guys like Will Johnston are going to have some good efficiency splits. I think can get around 8 or 9 points a game, which is solid. Be a solid contributor on a good team. So
Yeah, I think he could be decent. It's just like the same thing with LMU. They have just like so many guys in the
they
backcourt that can
do.
be solid. So I stayed away from those players. But one player that I did have is seems like a pretty obvious breakout player is Joshua Jefferson. Um, I honestly don't know much about him, but I know that St. Mary's Randy Bennett just likes to take random like 2 or 3 point guys and turn them into double-digit scores once they are in the starting lineup. So, well,
They
I'm
have that one
suspended.
Latvian, right? Who
Who?
yeah, it's that guy off the bench. He's a sophomore now.
Are
Maybe
you thinking
Lithuanian.
about Marshallonis?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's definitely another guy too that was on my radar when picking
Yeah.
this. I kind of lean towards Nick Blake from Pacific. I think Pacific's another team that, yeah, they lost a bit of scoring when I think was it Keelan the guy who played there, or was it
Yeah, Keelan Boone.
yeah, and Keelan did a lot of scoring for them. So they need either Beard, they need Donovan Williams, or they need Nick Blake to step up. And I think Nick Blake could damn near be their leading scorer. Like I kind of trust him over the other two guys, if I'm being honest here. He averaged like 8 a game last year. He had 20 against LMU when they actually beat LMU. So he's had some big games. He's originally from UNLV a couple of years ago. He went to IMG, 6'6" combo guard. I expect him to average like 12 to 15 a game. Like I think that's very attainable for him. And
The
it's a
the
solid.
tools are there.
For sure, for sure.
Good size, length, stuff like that. So I think
hmm
it's a good pick. I have someone else from Pacific that you did not mention. I have Mo Odom. He can
Okay.
really pass the ball. He can really pass the ball. In conference play, his assist rate was like nearly 50%, which is just unheard of. Yeah, he can really pass the ball. Scoring wasn't really there. Not sure if he's going to be able to get that up, but he was also a freshman. He averaged like 3.5 assists and only like 1.2 turnovers, which for a freshman like point guard like that is very impressive assist to turnover ratio. Yeah, he can just really good floor general. I think he's don't know if that scoring jump's going to come. I think it will to an extent, but I think he's just gonna he could average like 7 assists a game or something like that, and
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think it would be crazy.
Who was their true point guard from a couple years ago that I'm blanking on? He's from UC Irvine. He's on UC Irvine now, or he was
Oh,
last.
Crockwell,
Yeah. Oh, he could be a Pierre Crockwell for sure.
he
Yeah,
could.
no. The game manager, rack up a ton of assists. No, he's definitely gives me a lot of those vibes from what you were describing. So,
Yes,
and then
I
I've
definitely see it.
then I've Christoph Tilly, who I kind of
There's my
explained is my other one. So,
yes, I have him as well. We already talked about him.
okay.
He was playing good down the stretch, really skilled inside. Another player I have is Deuce Turner
Oh
from
yeah.
San Diego. I liked him coming
Oh,
out of junior college, didn't get the opportunity that he could have gotten with didn't really get as much opportunity, but was playing good down the stretch from San Diego.
would
Like
have
I
really
mentioned,
helped if San Diego had the rosters up with so much
yes.
roster turnover that they have. I'm like,
Yeah.
thankfully, Owen mentioned a couple freshmen that I got to look up from there, so we'll get into them shortly. But yeah, no, San Diego's got a lot of turnover for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you're really missing much on the San Diego roster. It's just a bunch of freshmen. They bring in like a ton of freshmen, like 6 freshmen,
Jeez.
but they don't really have any. They only have one D2 transfer who's decent, but like not a
Hmm.
ton of, yeah. But yeah, I think he's gonna have to step up. Another guy I have is Dominic Harris. Um,
Yep. Okay.
for reasons we've already explained. I
hmm
try to stay away from transfers, but he's also like in conference, so he's breakout in the WCC. But yeah, did you have
Yeah,
any?
no.
Did
When
you
you
have
said
any
to
other?
stay away from those guys, I took Malik off as well. So, hmm
Yeah,
that
did
was
you
my
have any other? Okay, so we are moving forward into our all freshman team. Um, let's see. I will start with Dusty Stromer.
So I have Jordan Ross.
Yeah, I have him too.
And then at shooting guard, I have Kevin Patton Jr. from San
Okay,
Diego.
I did have Patton on my team as well.
And then at small forward, I have Aaron McBride from LMU. I moved him on.
Okay, I didn't have him on, but he was strongly under consideration.
And then I have Keon Kenzie from San Diego as my power forward. And you have who do you have at forward?
I didn't really do it super positionally. I
Oh,
mean, I have Nils Cooper from Pepperdine,
yeah,
one of my
I
guys.
can see that.
Pepperdine can Romar can really recruit.
And
He can
yeah,
recruit.
they're gonna. The thing is with Nils is, I will say Pepperdine is a loaded front court. He's gonna be really battling for minutes. They have
He's more of a guard though. Like
yeah, he's like
he's a
six
guard.
six ish, right?
Yeah, I
Think
mean he's listed as a shooting guard, so I
yeah,
mean
his skill set is just weird for a guard. And I was just watching his highlights. He's not really a shooter. He rim runs. He's an energy guy like his dad, like you were saying. So
yes,
yeah,
Michael
I guess
Cooper.
there'll be some minutes there. But Pepperdine does have a loaded front court, so I don't know where they want to play him. I guess at guard. So his skill set's just a bit but if the Pepperdine actually wants to defend this year,
We'll
he'll
see.
be there. I don't know. So I have a Junji Wong from San Francisco as my
Yes.
forward center.
I had him as well. He is
Awesome.
super skilled. He can really do about anything on the floor. He can like kind of shoot, can kind of play some like point forward. Very
Yeah, no, I've
skilled.
seen him like being the featured ball handler, him carving out space for himself. Like he can do a ton
Hmm.
of things. Like I hate to really put him at forward or center, but I moved Huff off of my team for Aaron McBride. So
Yes. Yeah. So I'm surprised you didn't have Dusty Stromer because he is I think a lot of
he,
that come down to opportunity as well because they already have a
he's
lot of
where
guys.
does he? I don't think I maybe
Gonzaga.
okay.
He's a high ranked recruit. Like I think he's top 50.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah. No, I looked at Gonzaga's preview like first, so maybe that one's the what I remember the least.
Yeah, but he's good. He's like really old for a freshman too, so I think he's the guy that can step in right away. Yeah, he's like top borderline top 50
See a
guy.
guard, right?
Yeah, guard wing.
Yeah, they're gonna need help there. It makes a lot of sense, right? Their
Yes.
guards definitely their weakness. So
Yes. Yeah, so are we ready to get into the individual team previews?
sure thing, sure thing.
So, starting with Pepperdine, who finished last in the conference last year, as we are doing it in reverse order, as we have done our preview so far. And yeah, Pepperdine finished 2-14 in conference last year, despite having talent. Where do you have them ranked this year?
So I think they'll do. I hope they're not as bad as last year. I really do. I have them third from last. I have them ahead of San Diego and Pacific. So
I thought you were going to say you had them third, and I was getting concerned.
oh, totally. Yeah. After
Yes, I
last year with all the talent they had,
I have them at seventh as well. Yeah, I think they're very talented,
we were
which
both
is
high on them last year.
yeah.
Disappointing that they
I was
just
like
didn't
high in them like
try.
this coming year 2 years ago, but then Lewis was too good, so we went pro.
Right.
Um, yeah. So looking down this roster, obviously you got Millette back, you got Javon Porter back, who are two potential all conference guys. Like I had them all conference, so just gonna roll with that. You have Boubacar Coulibaly, who I believe was hurt last year, but was
Yeah.
kind of pretty effective when he was playing.
Mm.
Um, you have
Isn't
Ethan
Zedek back?
Anderson. No, he transferred to Chattanooga.
Oh, huh.
Yes.
I like that move for him because Pepperdine he didn't get a ton of minutes last year, which was kind
Yeah,
of
no, his production declined a little bit.
and he was pretty good his first couple years. It was
Hmm.
it was kind of annoying to see him kind of fall out of the rotation. So it's kind of good for him to transfer out. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
They also lost Carson Basham as a guy who's a guy I really liked.
Mm,
He
yeah,
was
no, I
good.
see.
And obviously, Mike Mitchell obviously transferred as well to Minnesota. Max Lewis got drafted. But yeah, Ethan Anderson is a
Yep,
guy. I don't know what to think about Ethan Anderson. He's an interesting player. Like he's a
limited, very limited.
yeah, offensively can't shoot, but is a solid like passer, can get to the rim a little bit.
He's a
Um,
slasher, a two-way slasher. I think is the best way to describe him. He plays
I
good
think he's fine at
defense.
point guard though. Like I think he's a serviceable WCC starting point guard.
For sure, if they want to use him that way.
Yes. So this team is very talented. They also have Michael Ajayi off the bench, who I don't know a ton about, but put up some big stats at JUCO. I believe it was JUCO. They have a good freshman class as they
They do.
always do. Um,
They have
the
like a
bench
couple
is
6'5" guys. Yeah,
yes. The bench is a little concerning though. I don't
yeah,
know.
it's bad, dude.
Maybe some of these guys will break out.
Usually
I mean,
Pepperdine's benches are, I mean, on paper they have a lot of scoring punch on them. I kind of lack to see. I don't really see that this year.
yeah.
So someone's
I
gonna
don't
have
know.
to.
I just Romar's a recruiter, not a
Right,
coach. Like
exactly.
that's kind of what it comes down to. He's going to get guys as a pros. He got Kessler Edwards to NBA, got obviously Max Lewis to NBA. Colby Ross was one of the best, like low key one of the best players in college basketball for a few years.
You want to go back to his time at Washington,
Yeah,
oh,
I mean, he had Michael Porter Jr. committed there
right?
before he got fired. But yeah, he can really recruit. So at least there's going to be talent. Like even if they're bad, like they're going to sort of be fun to watch because they still have talent.
Of course, and they're a fast-paced team too. So
Yes. Finishing eighth in the conference last year was San Diego. I had them finishing ninth this season.
yeah, I got them second to
Last.
last. I got them right in front of Pacific, but they were so disappointing to me last year. I was pretty high on them, but then I forgot. Oh, yeah, Steve Lavin camp coach. um,
Yeah.
I had Big East
Yeah.
bias towards him, thinking maybe in the West Coast Conference he could be an improved coach, and that just he seemed to get even worse. So
I
it kind
was
of sucked
yeah.
to see.
I was admittedly kind of buying into the fact that he would care, which he did not.
Nah,
Like
zero.
I don't think he even cares.
Nah,
Like
yeah, they had so
honestly.
much talent last year. And look, I will say Jaden Delaire, like just completely just being terrible didn't help
Yeah.
either.
He also was out
Um,
most of the season. Not like he was good when he was playing, but
right, right. Yeah, they had to dip into a couple guys from that Lehigh guy they had to start playing. I forget his name.
Nick Lynch.
Yeah, that's when you knew the season was over.
Yeah, but yeah, like they still lost a lot of talent, which is and they didn't really bring in that talent. Like
You
I mean
would think
they
Steve
did bring in a
Lavin
good
could still
class.
bring in guys, right?
I
That's
mean
what he
he
is.
did bring in a class that is intriguing at least.
Yeah,
I mean, but they lost like Jace Townsend, he was good. Obviously, Erlington was really good. Like Delaire, Eric Williams,
Eric Williams was really damn good.
he was good. But yeah, they lost all those guys, and in return, they got like a good freshman class and a transfer from Black Hills State, who was a good D2 program. So he's like can probably play, but he's
Yeah,
not
it's
like
just defensively, especially they just did not care last year on the defensive end at all. They were one of the worst defensive teams in the country. Like they were awful.
yeah. But the freshman class is good.
Yeah, for
Patton
sure.
is good. David Simon played for the Canadian U19 team this summer. Obviously, you're really high on Keon Kenzie. I saw his highlights a little bit, and definitely brings a lot of athleticism. And yeah, there are a few other guys I don't know a ton about. Jimmy Oladekunle, I have him in their starting lineup. I don't know much about him except that they didn't have any bigs besides him, but um, Yeah. Anything else on this team is just kind of a weird roster.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably on paper probably the worst team, but I'm just hoping Steve Lavin has some pride not to come in last, dude. Like, please don't.
Stop buying Steve Levin. I learned that mistake last year. They were
I'm buying his
bad.
stock for eighth place, man. Like,
They were bad
come
with
on.
talent. They have significantly less talent on this team.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like Pacific at all either. Like, oh man, that's gonna be bad. A lot of
Well,
inefficient scoring there. Yeah, I don't know.
finishing seventh last year was Portland. Where do you have Portland this year?
So, I don't love Portland's roster, but I love Ashley Langen, so I have them sixth.
I have them sixth as well. I do love Tyler Robertson.
He's awesome.
He
He
is.
was one of the two guys in college basketball to average like 15, 5, and 5 next to good old Jalen Pickett. So there's a little stat bite for you. But no, he's really well balanced. He has a lot of skills. He's not just a shooter either. He can go by you as well. So he brings a
Yes.
lot to the table. He will definitely be in for a huge year. So
Yes. And they have Chris Austin back. He
oh,
was hurt
okay.
all of last year, but he was good 2 years ago for them.
That's right. Okay. I
Yes.
vaguely remember him. Yeah.
Yes. Former Fordham player.
Oh, all right. All right.
Those Fordham teams that he was on weren't really anything to see. So
Yeah, that's for sure.
but yeah, he was good at Portland, and then he got hurt all last year. Juan Sebastian Gorosito.
Yeah,
Uh,
Gorcito's bad.
he's good. He was a freshman last year. I think he's a guy that could be a breakout player potentially. Could see a
He should be
jump.
starting this year for sure. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
I
see
mean,
why
wasn't he
not.
starting? Was he
He
starting
started
last
most of
year?
last year. He only played so much last year.
Yeah. So as a freshman, that's impressive to see.
Yeah.
They got their front court is a little more questionable. They have like Alamami Kuroma from Cal Poly. They got
Yeah, I
Yuta
seen that.
Yamanuchi Williams from Lamar. Um, he's a good like rim protector big, but Kuroma's yeah, he's whatever. But they got a good freshman class.
Okay. I
I
don't know
think
much about them, so
neither do I, but
I trust Laggins though. No,
yes, that's the big thing. Shante
he's
Leggins
a
can
growing
coach.
name in the college basketball
Yes.
coaching industry, and I feel like he can get some decent players to. And he's really big with Europeans as well. I feel like guys with like a lot of European skill sets seem to like to play for him. So
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Portland? We
think
moved to our sixth place. Or wait, I kind of screwed it up because I had BYU in there. Let's see, Pacific. Yeah, Pacific was sixth place last or seventh place last year, I guess. It's gonna forget about the fact that BYU exists, but yeah, they were just six out of returning teams. I had them eighth this year. You already mentioned you had them last.
yeah, I just I don't really like Donovan Williams much. Like he's very limited. He can't shoot the ball. His mid range is all right. And then they have Tyler Beard, former Georgetown transfer. He doesn't move me either. He's pretty undersized. And then, but yeah, no, I like Nick Blake. I think Nick Blake is solid. He's the guy I probably trust the most of those three, but that's not saying a lot. I kind of favor San Diego because, like, with San Diego, there's like more excitement. Like, there's more room for optimism. With these three, like, just returning a lot of mid. Like, I don't know. San Diego's freshman class gives me a lot to be excited for. They'll be playing with house money all year. Guys like Kenzie have high ceilings, and I just don't see a very high ceiling for this roster. And I don't see them doing a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I do love Mo Odom though.
Mo Odom's solid. I don't
He's
really get enthralled with the pass first point guards, really. But I mean, I guess they could use him.
the score. I think the scoring will come though. I mean, he was a freshman last year.
Yeah, they'll have a lot of scoring opportunities if those three
Yeah,
guys are not taking all the shots, which I kind of worry about. So their shot selection has not been very good.
Yeah, they Pacific runs an interesting style of basketball the past
Yeah.
years. They just do not play positional at all.
No.
They just they're just kind of there.
And they don't have really any shooting this year at all. Like spacing of the floor is gonna be.
Uh, I mean, Judson Martindale can kind of shoot at the floor,
Oh,
but
I
he's
do remember him. They
also
had that one sniper last year. He's not there anymore, I don't think.
let's see, they
He was good.
were I mean, Boone was their best shooter. Or
Maybe.
no, Luke Avdilovich, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I
gone.
love
He could really
Avalovic.
shoot the ball.
He
He
is
could really
nice.
he shot 50% from three. That's
Mm-hmm.
insane.
And on
Um
tough looks too. Like
yeah, so Pacific was kind of like a good 3-point shooting team last year.
they
I
were.
don't know if that's going to continue. They lose him, they lose Boone, they lose um Jordan Ivy Curry, who didn't really shoot it efficiently, but shot
Yeah.
threes. He wasn't that good, honestly.
No, he's
But yeah, so they lose those guys.
Yeah, I just don't see a lot to be optimistic about. Like I think his team's a really low ceiling. Defensively maybe they'll be okay, but like I don't really see who's gonna be good for them in the front court, protecting the rim. Like no one really jumped out at me down low.
They got Boise State transfer Burke Smith, who like didn't play there, so I
Oh
don't know if
yeah.
he's gonna be good or not. I don't
Um,
know what they're gonna
I don't
do.
know.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's not a lot of like I like there, and I think you can see why.
yeah. They won 7 league games last year. I did not
Yeah, that was
realize they did.
surprising. They had, Keelan was really good last year, and I've been over
Yeah.
how underrated I thought he was last year. He developed so much as a player at Pacific, and he's going to be
Hmm.
really good. He's the reason I like UNLV a lot. It's because how he kind of developed last year into a real scorer from all three levels. Like, and he was not that at Oklahoma State at all. So, he's definitely come a long way, I feel like, and he was a big reason for Pacific's success last year.
Yes. So those are the bottom 4 teams. As we said earlier, might have been off air, might have not been. I don't recall, but there's a clear gap between the top 5 and the next 4. And number 5 last year was San Francisco. Where do you have the Dons this year?
Right back at 5.
Okay. Okay. I have them at 4. I really like them. Honestly,
I mean, I know
mean,
why.
I am a big Dons fan. I was the number 1 fan of the Todd Golden Dons team that made the tournament. Like I was watching all their games on WCC network that year. That was an
Stadium.
extremely fun team to watch. Yeah, that was
Were
that was one of
fun.
my favorite teams ever to watch, honestly.
I'm annoyed I didn't watch more of them, but no,
You
they were
missed
fun.
out. Those late nights watching Jamari Bouye, something that you'll never get back.
That's right.
But yeah, like I think they're gonna be better this year. Even
I
though,
agree.
well, maybe not better. Better's a stretch considering they lost their 2 best players who were like
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
But they also and Zane Meeks, who was maybe in the bump. Well, maybe they will be though, because they're super deep. They all 13 guys in the team can play.
Yeah, I worry. I do actually
I don't
think
know if
San
that's a good thing though.
Francisco got a little better defensively, maybe. Especially in the
I mean,
perimeter.
Mogbo.
Yeah, Magbo's a beast.
Yeah.
And they got, that's the thing with Shabazz and Roberts is, they're not amazing defenders or
Yeah.
undersized. That was a big thing for them last year. So I think getting those two guys out automatically makes you better defense. I think Malik Thomas could probably mold into a decent guy defensively.
Yeah.
Hopefully, things like that. I don't love Marcus Williams, like we've been saying, but he's gonna get a lot more looks. So
Hmm.
I just think guards are their weak spot right now. I kind of worry about that. Obviously, you got Mongolian Mike, but
I
who's
don't know
gonna
if
be
I
that?
agree with that.
Who's gonna
Uh,
be that real scorer, right?
yeah, that's the
Mongolian
one
Mike was kind of
thing. I
passive.
mean, Williams, I guess that's the one thing that kind of concerns me. They don't have like a really like go-to scorer, but I think their
Yeah,
guards as a group is good. Like Williams, Malik Thomas, Mongolian Mike. I don't know if Robbie Beasley is going to be eligible because of the
yeah. I
transfer
was looking
thing.
at Beasley. I almost had him in my top 10 transfers. He seemed interesting. He was
But
efficient at UC Davis a couple of years ago.
yeah, his brother Ryan Beasley is an incoming freshman. He's going to be good.
Okay.
Like he's going to be a really good college player. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm talking about. Like
Right,
he's just going to
right.
be like a good 4 year player. He's probably going to be
Of
all
course.
conference like at some point. Stefan Todorovic can like shoot the ball. Like I mean
Yeah,
he's
I was looking at him.
so yeah, I mean I think there's just the concern is just there's not enough top level talent, and you hope that Mongolian Mike is that.
Yeah, the thing with Montgomery and Mike, I love him as a prospect. I do. It's just
Yeah.
I kind of worry about the Harrison Ingram syndrome, right? Where he doesn't, want to go out and like average 15 a game, 20 a game when he's got a prime opportunity to, right? Like he needs to go out and get his own shot. Like, and San Francisco is going to want him to. I just don't think maybe he's not aggressive enough. We'll see. I actually think good things that, he will attack more. Because obviously Dayton was so loaded with talent last year, so he didn't really get those opportunities. So I think he's going to be a little more aggressive, but obviously on paper, you do kind of worry about the scoring from their guards group. So
The one main concern I have about him is that I think like for him to be really good, the whole offense, the whole game plan needs to be centered around him.
yeah, I
I'm
do.
not sure if that's necessarily the best thing.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, he's got to be able to score at 3 levels, which I don't know if he can do. Like, I don't know if he's a great
Yeah,
3-point shooter yet. I just don't know that.
yeah.
He's good in the mid
Really good
range,
freshman
though.
class. Yeah,
Yeah,
really good freshman class though. Like
it's good.
Beasley and Wong, like that's a good 2 man class for
It is
Gurlifson.
for
Like
sure. For sure.
Wong would have been like a 4 star if he was a traditional U.S. prospect.
Oh, of course,
Like
easily.
he was like and San Francisco really got him because of the Asian community there.
Sure.
Like that's why they got Mongolian Mike too. I think he like said it on record. Like that's a
Hmm.
main reason why he went there. I mean, obviously not the main reason, but like that when you're comparing other schools, like I know Wong also was like looking at like Providence and Oklahoma. Like I mean,
Yeah, you're not
when
gonna find
you
that
look at
there.
like what place is gonna feel more like home,
San Francisco all the way. No,
yes, yes, but Wong is gonna be really good. But yeah, I mean, their bigs are like they don't have like they don't have like bigs that can really like score a lot. Like the problem is like they need some guys to be scorers, but like they have a lot of like really solid bigs that can like play. I mean, they have like Kunin, Mogbo,
Unit solid.
Hawthorne, Newberry, Gigi Bria, Markovetsky. Like they have all these guys. And I think they're almost
Yeah.
too deep for their own good.
I agree with that. San Francisco's like that last year too. They have all these options and they don't really know who to ride with, right? Some games they'll ride the hot hand and sometimes they'll stick with the guy for too long, like, things like that. That's what makes being a coach hard is you got to get the rotations right.
Yes. Number 4 in the conference last year was Loyola Marymount. I had them at 3 this year. Where do you have them?
I moved them to 3 as well.
Yes, I really like this team. Another team that is very deep, but I think there's a little bit more sense of top end tier talent, especially with the Pepe coming back. Juice Hill has proven to be an all conference guy on a team that was a 17 to tournament. Um, Justin Wright, I think he's a guy that can maybe translate up more better than people think so. Yeah, like
I saw
Dominic
him. He's
Harris.
from NC Central, right?
Yes. NC
See,
Central was like not terrible either.
they
Like for a
were,
MEAC
they
team,
were a
they were
sneaky.
respectable.
They were a sneaky HBCU team. Like they played some Power Fives, and I think in the non-con they played them kind of close. So, I believe it was like Virginia. They played Virginia. It's just they're weird, but no, he was a pretty decent scorer and his efficiency solid for being a number 1 guy. So he almost made my top 10 transfer list, but I
Yeah.
did leave him off.
I almost had him too. I had him on there and I was like, I should probably put Dominic Harris because
He's from
yeah,
Gonzaga. He showed some ability.
but yeah, right was originally on there. I still am really high on him. Obviously, like, yeah, I really like this team. You have like Will Johnston too, as you mentioned, like Eric McBride, Alex Merkviladze. Like this is a very deep team as well. You have some like real rim protectors off the bench too, and Michael Graham and Rick Costanza. Like
Yeah, their depth doesn't jump out at you right away. You have to kind of look
jumped out
into
at me
these
right away.
guys. Well, I know it'll jump out at you, but for a lot of people, you might not know a lot of these guys, but they're very efficient. They have a lot of good shooting here. I feel like Johnston and Tights will kind of be like Justin Aarons, and how he was coming off screen.
Johnson's more of like Johnson can like he can like be a point guard. He can create a little
That's
bit more
good.
for himself. But yeah, Tates I think
Aarons
can
was
be
strictly
more.
a shooter,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Very
He had
efficient, most years, besides the
it
one at
was up and
Ohio
down,
State.
but yeah,
But
he
um,
wasn't that great last year. I don't think
yeah, no,
he was a shooter that could shoot
he
sometimes.
was good his first 2 years of his career, and then like the last two were very sus. But anyway, definitely I feel like they have more shooting. That what caught my eye at first. That was my big thing with them. And then I kind of looked at Tights and Johnston. So yeah, that's what kind of put them over Santa Clara, who's my fourth place team for me. So
Yeah, the questions here are one, you have the talent. It's one is can Stan Johnson get fit everything together? That's one of the questions. The other
yeah,
question is, can you replace Cam Shelton?
that's my big thing, right? There are
Because
another.
they don't have anyone that's gonna like be like the next Cam Shelton, but they do have some guys that could like cumulatively replace him. Like you combine the production from like Juice Hill, Justin Wright, Dominic Harris, and it ends up being like what he gave you, and they'll be just as good.
Yeah. No, I feel like if there's one guy who could be close to Cam Shelton, not Cam Shelton, but it's Dominic Harris. Like,
Yes.
no, I definitely feel like he's the high ceiling guy out of the three. So
Yes. That definitely has a lot of potential that he has not really reached yet, but he hasn't really had a chance and he can. Yeah. Number three last year was Santa Clara. I have them fifth this year.
I have them at four.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. When you look at this roster, it's another one just like so many new players. Like you look down my projected starting lineup, I have Benjamin Ball, Carlos Marshall only played in 3 games last year, like Johnny O'Neal. I did have Cafaro. Maybe I'll switch that to Tilly, but still, like he was a bench player last year. Like Tyree Bryan is a transfer. You have some freshmen, so a lot of newcomers. Obviously, you lose a lot of guys. Like you lose Pajemski, you lose Carlos Stewart, you lose Keyshawn Justice, you lose Parker Brown, you lose Jaden Bediako. Like there's just so many players moving on.
this is their whole starting five.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. No.
But
No
I feel
starters back.
like they recycled in probably the best way that you can when you lose your entire starting five. Like they definitely got some talent here. You got Brandon Napper off the bench too. He's okay. I mean, I didn't really like him, but he's solid. Then you got Carlos Marshall, who I'll have starting as well. Jalen Benjamin's a solid scorer. I think Adama Ball is going to have a fantastic year. And they have some good big depth again. Like I love their front court depth. That's something that Santa Clara's been good with the last couple of years. Is they have a lot of good 7-foot bigs. You got Tilly, you got Cafaro. I think there's a couple others even that I probably don't have in front of me right now.
Let's see. They have Luke McElden, who's an incoming freshman that was
Yeah,
like had
yeah.
a
They
lot of
love
high major
recruiting those guys
offers.
too. That's what I've noticed. A lot of their freshman class are just 6'10" bigs that are just really skilled.
Yes. Gotta love Johnny O'Neal. Skilled like big, skilled four, skilled can stretch the floor. I kind of like him.
Okay. Yeah, it seems
Um,
like they're their type of player.
can protect the rim too. Can kind of do a little bit of everything at the four, which is might step up in competition, but I think he is I think he's pretty good. Yeah. Anything else about Santa Clara?
Yeah, no, I've watched a ton of Santa Clara last. They've been like my favorite WCC team the last couple of years. They're really fun. That's probably kind of why I'm a little biased here, but I think, I think LMU and USF doesn't have really I think Adama Ball is just such can be such a force. Like I'm just watching these highlights and the scoring punch he can give you from all three levels, the type of athlete he is. Just an elite finisher. He can really shoot the ball too. Like his shooting is something I probably will go under the radar. He's going to hit a lot of threes. He can really beat you with his quickness. He's kind of what I want Mongolian Mike to be.
But at
but
the
we'll
same
see if
time,
he
like
can
Ball
hold up to
hasn't been
that.
good yet in college. Like he hasn't. I mean, not even bad. He just hasn't got the opportunity yet. So I think
Exactly.
they're in the same position as San Francisco. Like, yeah, like you want Mongolian Mike to be good. You want Ball to be good. But like based
If
on
there's
past
one I
production,
trust
like
more, it's probably Adama Ball
that's
because
fair. Coming from such a good team,
yeah, no, I just think it's the type of player he is, right? It's the skill
yeah,
sets and the scoring that I've actually seen him be like on those France teams. I've seen him be like a really prolific scorer, and I just haven't really seen that same thing from Mongolian Mike yet in any setting. We'll
yeah.
see.
I think Ball can be good in some different offensive sets and stuff. Like Mongolian Mike is, like I mentioned, he's a very skilled player, but he's a player that almost kind of has to revolve the offense around him in
For
order to
sure.
like really produce like you want him to. So
With
yeah,
Santa Clara, though, like unlike USF, Santa Clara does lack depth. They had more depth last year, for
yeah,
sure. Even though their bench units were flawed last year, I think it's even a step down this year. So while USF is probably more depth for their own good, like Santa Clara is definitely kind of shallow at the guard spot, especially for
yeah. Especially like point guard, like you,
Brandon Apper's probably
m-
your
maybe Christian Hammond. I have Christian Hammond ninth in my depth chart,
okay.
and he would be the backup point guard.
Well, that's good.
Um, yeah,
So
I
I
know.
don't think they want to play Napper. He's very limited.
Okay. Um, but yeah, again, the thing about this team and so many other teams recently is how do you replace Pajemski, like, and not him, but everyone else they lost, like, like you're gonna like if you want to be
I
good,
will
like,
say, I think the Adama Ball Christoph Tilly duo is going to be one to watch. If Adama Ball can really, I don't know how he is as facilitator. I don't really see that in his highlights, but like they could be an elite lob threat. You can get the lobs going. You can get Tilly in the low post a lot of touches. I mean, he's a force down there, man. If they can really get that 1-2 punch going, I think it's as effective as damn near any outside of St. Mary's and Gonzaga. So,
yeah.
um,
Overall, I think they'll be a little worse than last year, though.
yeah, probably.
Like they just lose so much,
Of
and
course.
yeah. But the second place team last year, tied for first was St. Mary's. I still had them second this year. I
I
know
have St.
you had
Mary's
them first.
first.
Yes, I could have had them first. Like it's not a big difference really. Aiden Mahaney, for what it's worth, in my opinion, is the best player in the conference. Mitchell Saxon is up there as well. Like Jordan Ross is one of the best freshmen in the conference. Like his team is good.
I love so much about St. Mary's. Like, the big thing is they return people, which the rest of the conference can't say. Like, most of the returning minutes come from St. Mary's. Like, they
Yes.
return a lot of guys here. Bowen's back as
No,
well.
I don't think he is.
I thought I saw something that he was, or maybe that was someone else, but
Probably
maybe he's
Dugas.
yeah, maybe he's the guy that actually left. Was
Yeah.
going. So they return everyone but him and Logan Johnson, which again,
Hmm.
by losing Logan Johnson, you get better. I did not like Logan Johnson much at all. You talk to St. Mary's fans, even I think I think Randy Bennett's son like follows me. But man, he hated Logan Johnson. I don't think he was very good. He was very inefficient, very inconsistent. Um, I think Jordan Ross could be better than him right away. His ceiling's much higher. I feel like they can get a lot better there. And then obviously Mahaney, I feel like kind of tailed off towards the end of last year where he was really hot early on, which really surprised a lot of people. I think this is the year that we were looking at Mahaney to have a complete season. And
I
I
think
feel
he's an
like
All American.
yeah, I think start to finish, he's going to have just an amazing year. And I just think St. Mary's defensively is so good. I worry about Gonzaga's fit. We're going to get to that after this, but yeah, I'd like St. Mary's fit more. Definitely these guys that have played with each other, less turnover. The spacing's really good. And I feel like they obviously have the best player in the conference. I think the star player thing is not going to be a problem at all. So
Yeah, I will say I think it's a little too far to say they automatically get better without Logan Johnson. But at the same point, I kind of get what you're saying because a lot of opportunities open without him. Like he wasn't the most efficient scorer. Like he was a guy that could create his own shot and get to the rim, but at the same time, you would probably rather have Mahaney taking a lot more shots.
And I
Like
think with Jordan Ross, it sticks out to me. The ball doesn't stick with him. Like with Logan Johnson, if there's one guy on St. Mary's that the ball kind of stuck with, it was Logan Johnson. Like he would take some unnecessary
yeah,
shots.
yeah, I agree with that.
And but Jordan Ross, what I noticed immediately is he's unselfish. He's not gonna, force shots. And I think St. Mary's can benefit from that if it gets Mahaney more
Yeah.
looks.
Speaking about St. Mary's, do you see they got Zion Sensley? Like he's a 2024 kid, but you see they got him like last week.
No,
He's
I
like a
didn't.
4-star, I think, in
Oh,
2024. So he won't be playing this year, obviously, but he is good. Like he's like a skilled like forward, like really dynamic, like 3-4. He's gonna be good.
yeah. And obviously St. Mary's bench, we got the Lithuanian guy that we were talking about
Absolutely.
earlier.
He could start too. Like it's
It's true.
um,
They want to start him, they can. Their bench is pretty solid, as well. So,
yeah.
I think their bench
I
is
mean, like
really
Randy
good.
Bennett is gonna get as much out of his bench as he wants because I mean, there's not like he's not a guy that really plays bench that much, but
It's
like
right. He
you
goes
know,
like 7 guys,
but
right?
these guys can be good if they want if he wants to play them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what Joshua Jefferson does. Like
Him
obviously,
too. Yeah, no, he's an intriguing piece that I probably overlooked there. So excited about him as well.
yeah. Number one last year was Gonzaga. I obviously have them there as well. You have them second.
Yeah, I'm just not, my thing is like I love having number one options that can shot create. That's my biggest thing when looking in a team. Is a guy who can close games, a guy who can create their own shot. I was a huge Julian Strawther fan last year.
I think
Um,
Nimard can create a shot.
I mean, he's just not like aggressive enough. I feel like at times, I don't know if he's gonna really embrace like being a number one perimeter option. I
Well,
don't
I mean,
think.
it's part of why he transferred, you would think, because I mean, at Creighton, like he was good, but like there were 5 guys around him that could
Yeah,
do the
but I
same
don't
exact
think he
thing.
wanted to be the number one guy per
Why
se.
would he have transferred in if he didn't want to be number one guy?
Because he's leading the offense and things like that. I mean, I don't think he's really, I don't know, he's just not number one guy kind of skill set to me. Like his
I
efficiency is
mean,
not
he
really
showed it
there.
at times. Like, what did he have against Baylor in the tournament? Like, how, like he had like, didn't he have like 30 in that game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I
And I'm
trust
not,
Aiden Mahaney a lot more than I do, but
yeah, I think Mahaney's better, but at the same time, like, Nemhard showed flash of what he could do if he actually like takes over a game and he can have the opportunity more against a little bit lesser
I think
competition
he's just
too.
more of a pure point guard. He facilitates a lot as well.
Yeah,
So
but he also is like he also can score.
yeah, I mean, but he's gonna have to take on that scoring load. It's one thing
And I
to
think he
actually
can.
be able to score, but like to actually do it, like he's not gonna be able to be passive here. He's gonna actually need to be a score first point guard, which I don't know if that's what Mark Few really likes to do, which I don't know. I have my
Yeah.
questions there. And then you have Venters, who's more of an off-ball guy, but he can score, he can create things like
Mhm.
that. I think the offense is best run through Graham Ike. If he's healthy, using him as a low block mid-range guy, and you can run high lows with him. You can run honestly, I don't want to even say a pick and pop from three really, but like kind of a high pick and roll in the mid range, kind of with Nemhard. That's where I think Nemhard and Ike can be really effective. Is if you get Ike setting screens like the free throw line, he doesn't even need to roll all the way to the rim. He can just stay in the mid range, do his thing because he's very good there. But if they want him to roll to the rim, that's good too. And then they obviously have Ben Gregg to stretch the floor.
Yeah.
They have a lot of good shooters, so.
Yeah.
I just worry about the number one option, dang. Obviously Nemhard has all the skills, right? It's just, is he gonna actually be the best player on like a top 10 team? Like then that's new for him. Like to do that every night, like not flashes, not every once in a while, every night. Like that's a new thing. Like whether you like it or not. Ada Mahaney did that for 3/4 of the season last year as a freshman. So I just think the sample size isn't big enough for me. That's my biggest concern.
That's definitely a fair point. I'm also really high in Anton Watson as previously stated, so that's
Yeah,
another reason why
I
I
like
really like
Anton.
him too.
He's underrated too. He's great defensively. Like rim
Yeah,
protection's
like
great.
really skilled overall. I think like can really do a little bit of everything.
They
Like,
should involve him more on offense, but that's never really been a
yeah.
thing with them.
I mean, with EK, I don't think they're really going to as much,
Yeah, I don't think
but
so either. That's the
he's
thing. You go from
definitely
Timmy to Ike, and uh,
he's like a premium glue guy, like kind of a
really is.
guy that's like better than a glue guy, but also does the glue guy stuff. Um, what do we think about Nolan Hickman?
Yeah. I think he's gonna get more touches this year. I think he's gonna be a bit more efficient. He's gonna have a bigger role, but like he's not really enough to move the needle for me over St.
The thing
Mary's.
is, he was supposed to do that last year, and he
Right.
wasn't really that good.
No, of course. Exactly. And every Gonzaga fan on my feed is like, oh, the comeback season, man. Oh. I don't know. But Mark Few is, elite regular season coach, so
He's
maybe
not
we'll
bad
come
in the
up.
tournament either. People give him too much
Yeah,
hate
I
for it.
know. I know.
He's
I
elite.
never gave him. I just said he's an elite regular season. I didn't say anything
He is
about
an elite
tournament
regular
coaching.
season coach.
Mhm.
The one
Um,
question for Gonzaga is they have 10 players on their roster.
that is crazy to me, but yeah,
Well,
reading through their roster
they
preview.
lost Marcus Adams.
Yes,
Caden Perry retired.
oh
Um,
yeah, that's right. I did hear about that.
yeah, he was just injuries just got the best of him.
And then they have that guy from Korea who I think will actually play a good
Yeah,
bit. I could
they
have put
also
him
got
on
like a
breakout.
Lithuanian guy a few weeks ago. I forgot his name. I don't even have my updated roster, but
Right, right. Okay.
I wouldn't expect 10 out of him year one. But yeah, you have Braden Huff, who I know Gonzaga
I
really
like Braden
likes.
Huff. Yeah.
Yes, like he's been in the system for a year. Um,
Love red shirts to begin with, but a guy Timmy has complimented a lot. Battling Drew Timmy in practice must on both ends must really give you a leg up. So
mhm. Isn't Huff more of like a skilled forward,
yes, he's not really a low post
more of
guy from
like
what
a
I
wing
hear.
forward?
Yeah, he's got a lot
Yeah.
of perimeter skills. He's good off the dribble. Like he has guard skills apparently. He can shoot. He's a tough cover. That's why Timmy was saying he's the toughest red shirt he's ever had to guard. Because he brings him out of the post. And Timmy obviously had his defensive weaknesses, so I don't think he liked being out there.
Yeah. Let's see. So, do we have anything else on Gonzaga,
I think that's about it.
or anything else about WC in general?
No, I think, it's not a conference that really drops off a ton. I think it's a bit weaker than last year, but the top five are still going to be very entertaining. And obviously Pepperdine's pretty fun to watch out of the bottom teams. The rest of the bottom teams are definitely pretty tough
Yeah.
watching. So
At least there's talent down there. Like San Diego has a really intriguing freshman class. Um,
yeah, true.
yeah. I mean, Portland's always gonna have talent.
Being a
Pacific
Steve
is,
Lavin homer, I'll watch a game or two.
yeah, maybe. Um, yeah. So that concludes our WC preview. Which one should we do next? Big
Hmm.
Sky? I know you love the Big Sky.
Are we gonna have to get Cravens on here?
I wish. I love that guy.
Go. That's the thing. Like, how long of an episode would a Big Sky preview even be? Like,
I like
should
the
we
Big
combine it
Sky.
with another one?
I mean, we can just do a shorter episode.
True. We'd save our viewers some time.
I like the Big Sky. I don't know. I don't know what you're hate about the Big Sky, but there were some good teams,
Yeah,
some
you
good
know why I
talent.
hate the Big Sky? Because I had to watch Montana State, Weber State in the title
Okay,
game.
that was it
Awful.
was a semifinal, but that was bad. That was bad. That was bad. I watched that game
But
and
what
was
I dislike
desperately
about the
waiting
Big
for that.
Sky is that they don't play defense. Like the defense and besides that game was an exception. But
Yeah. That
um,
was that was one of the worst games I've ever watched because it was super late and I wanted to go to
it's like 2
bed.
a.m.
And it was such a bad game. Like nobody was making shots, but like I can't go to bed. Like the game's not over yet. Like
I gotta see you make
and it
turn.
was it was it was it was tough staying up for that one. I almost fell asleep in the middle of that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a dud. So maybe
Yeah.
we could do the Big Sky next. I can't really think of another. Oh, the whack. Ooh, the
Yeah,
whack it sucks though. Uh,
we can do both of them in next week.
yeah, we can definitely bang both of those out. The whack
We,
will be pretty easy to do.
Yeah, we will see you then. We can discuss all this behind the scenes. We will be back in a few days for the Big Sky preview. Make sure to leave a like on this YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube. Give us 5 stars on a podcast apps if you're listening there. And follow us to our social media would be appreciated at Hoop Scoop Media, Instagram, and Twitter/X. Obviously, subscribe on YouTube. We're really building it out, getting daily videos up of our top 100 teams countdown. Go tap into that if you haven't. But yeah, we will see you shortly for the Big Sky preview.
Mm-hmm.